So a typical day in our preschool really looks like this. The children arrive and we are a faith-based preschool, so every day opens with a prayer. And then they have some free play while they unpack their things. Every child kind of goes at their own pace during our unpacking of the day. And then after that, our teachers begin their day with a circle time. This is when they go over another prayer, the jobs for the classroom that day, things like line leader, they do vacuuming, they do snack helpers, all kinds of things. So they go over the jobs. They usually go over our letter of the day, our number of the day, and then we kind of move into center-based instruction, and I'll show you a little bit of what that might look like when I'm giving you a classroom tour. Every day we include some form of gross motor play. That really depends on the weather. Here in Ohio, that can be a little iffy. Sometimes we're inside, sometimes we're outside, but we're very blessed here at St. Brigid to have a huge amount of space for outdoor play. We have 2 different playgrounds, as well as a large open field for kickball and science exploration. Every day also includes story time, so the children are read to at least once, if not twice, during the day by one of our teachers. Again, more free play, and then dismissal. We end every day with a prayer as well. We use several different curriculums in our program here at St. Brigid. The first one we adopted last school year called Haggerty Phonemical Awareness, and it is an early literacy program that teaches those basic skills to encourage reading. And then this program is something that was adopted preschool through 2nd grade at St. Brigid. So if you continue your journey here with us, which we hope that you do, that program will continue on with your student and build upon all the different things that they learn while they're here at preschool. We also use something called Learning Without Tears. It has a handwriting component, mathematical component, and really gets kids ready to write and do all kinds of kindergarten things that they're going to need when they move forward. And then we also use something called Creative Curriculum and Orton Gillingham, and both programs have been with us for quite some time, and they are research-based and backed and tried and true. So in addition to our curriculums, our teachers here, our lead teachers here at St. Brigid are very experienced, and I have the utmost confidence in them. Deb Bunk has been here for 19 years in preschool, and Chris McKenna, who's also joining us today, has been here for 15 years. Mrs. McKenna?
Yeah, been here at the same time, 19 years.
Oh, 19 years. So they're both here 19 years. And then Mrs. O'Reilly and Mrs. Curtin, who are two of our other lead teachers. Mrs. Curtin's been with us for 3 years, and Mrs. O'Reilly's been here for 5 years. So we have a very low turnover rate with our teachers, and we are all very invested in our community here, which is something rare that you see in a preschool setting. In addition to that, all of our teachers have 4-year college degrees in child development, psychology, early child education, or the like, which is, again, something that kind of sets us apart from those other preschool and child care centers. It's not required in the state of Ohio for teachers to have that 4-year degree, but we're very blessed that our teachers are not only experienced, but very educated as well. In addition to the curriculums that we use, we also follow the preschool standards that the Ohio Department of Education has created. And those standards follow all of the different areas of development, which you can see here. And we do our best to make sure that each child is getting a rounded education in these areas. The goal for our program is ultimately kindergarten readiness, but we understand that that really looks different for every child. So these standards are kind of our guide to make sure that they're each doing what they need to be doing while they're here. If you want to know more about them, you can click on that link there and find a copy of each of those. or I can also email you more information on those standards if you would like as well. We are a very hands-on classroom. We do art projects almost every day while our students are here with us. And we firmly believe in the process of doing versus the final product, meaning that we want children to spend more time making it and less time worrying about what it's going to look like at the end, because that process is how their brains are learning all of the important fine motor skills that they will need as they move into kindergarten. The art also offers that sensory experience that so many of our kids enjoy and need during the day. This year we have started something new. Typically all of our supplies have been community supplies, meaning that we share. But because of COVID, each child has their own set of fine motor supplies. And I will show you what that looks like here in a minute when I do a tour of our classroom. They each have their own crates and little caddy with everything. So we are a very faith-based preschool, being a part of St. Brigid of Kildare, and that includes our littlest learners. There are standards that are given to us through the Diocese of Columbus, but like I mentioned earlier, every day opens and closes with a prayer, and we begin learning right now. So, am I breaking up really bad? I'm sorry. Somebody told me that. Hold on just a second. Let me check my internet. All right, I'm going to try this again. Sorry about that. We are a faith-based preschool. Like I said, every day opens and closes with a prayer, and we work on those early Catholic prayers such as the Hail Mary, the Our Father, the Glory Be. Our teachers do an awesome job of weaving Bible stories and other aspects of our Catholic faith into their everyday lessons as well. We take frequent visits to the church, and we have visitors from the church that come and visit us. So it's a very unique opportunity for us. So not only are we a faith-based program, but we are a play-based preschool. We all believe firmly that children this age learn best through play. It encourages communication, it improves their overall cognitive development, it helps them build relationships, and so therefore our teachers are very intentional with what they put out for our children to play with, and they create their lesson plans with play in mind. So we are a play-based school, and you can see that throughout the different things in the classrooms, which I'll show you in a minute as well. Even prior to COVID, children cleaned their hands once they entered the classroom, before snack, after using the restroom, after playing outside. But even more so this year, they're also cleaning their hands before they're arriving at each center. So that way we can kind of cut back on the germs that are being spread. In addition to that, all of our toys are cleaned in between classes. And as well at the end of the day. So we've been very diligent about keeping materials clean and sanitized. For this coming school year, as of right now, our morning class session opens at 8:15 and our afternoon class session opens at 12:30. And our morning class dismisses at 11:15 and our afternoon class dismisses at 3:30. For the afternoon classes, there have been several questions from people in the community about whether we will continue to have a 3:30 dismissal time. I know that Dublin City Schools has a similar dismissal time. And what I can say right now is that as of today, right now, yes, we are planning on continuing having that dismissal time because our big school needs to be able to have a staggered dismissal again so we can kind of keep our children in pods. As with everything else with COVID, things are always subject to change. But as of today, these are going to be our time. So that was your question. I hope that answers it for today. We take security very seriously here at St. Brigid, especially with the world that we live in today. So here's a few things about just how we do security in preschool. At the beginning of the school year, you will list who is going to be allowed to pick up your child. And then obviously mom and dad are always on that list. If somebody different is going to pick up your child, we do require to see their driver's license as well as a note in writing from you, the parent, before we're allowed to release your child to them. Here on campus, our classroom doors are locked during the day. We can get out, but no one can get in unless they have a key. And we don't answer the door after drop-off or dismissal times. People are directed to the school office. In addition to that, we do participate in the same drills as the big school, so that includes fire, safety, and tornado drills. And our teachers do a really great job of explaining why we do those so that the children aren't scared. They do a wonderful job with that. Just a little update about some COVID-19 health protocols that have been new for us this year. And as Ms. O'Reilly stated in our opening, they have gone really well, and we have worked really hard to add some of those additional safety procedures because of the world we're living in right now. So like I mentioned earlier, we wash our hands a lot more than we ever have, and the kids just go with the flow. We are required by our licensing department to wash our hands at all those many times of the day. And on top of that, we have increased our cleaning of high traffic areas. And because we have a morning and an afternoon session, we try really hard to sanitize things in between. All of our classes remain in their pod, meaning that they don't come into contact with another class that's going on at the same time. They have their own restroom and their own space and their own toys and their own supplies, again, to cut back on the spread of germs and COVID-19. In addition to that, we do require all of our students to wear face masks or facial coverings for our staff as well as our students. This was a very hard decision for us, for the little people, at the beginning of the year, but I can confidently tell you that they do amazing with it. They have far exceeded our expectations for keeping them on. And it's just been really wonderful to see how resilient the children are. They just want to come to school, and if they have to wear a mask to do that and wash their hands extra, they don't mind. So it's been a very pleasant surprise. So, and then lastly, we do have a new return to school policy for our children if they are sick. And I can go more into depth with that for you personally if you're interested, but it is very similar to what Dublin City Schools does as well as the big school does. We want to make sure that if children are having any type of COVID symptoms or family members having COVID symptoms, that they're safe to return to keep our school community healthy. So. We do not provide breakfast and lunch for our children, but we do allow them to bring a snack. We are a peanut and tree nut free preschool, so there's some suggestions there of healthy snacks. In addition to that, we ask that they bring a water bottle labeled with their name and only water in it to drink. On their birthday, they do get a special treat. They're allowed to wear whatever type of outfit they would like for their birthday, and they get a special book for them to keep at home. Birthdays are really fun here at St. Brigid Preschool. And we do follow the same dress code that the big school does. So as you can see here, boys wear a white collared shirt, either navy slacks or shorts, depending on the time of the year. And girls wear a white collared shirt and a jumper. And we do ask that they wear tennis shoes. As you can see here, all of our preschoolers for the most part have on tennis shoes. That's because we are play-based and we do gross motor every day. So they're running and playing, and so tennis shoes are typically the best shoe for preschool. I am now going to stop sharing my screen, and I am going to give you a little tour of what our classroom looks like. Hopefully. Let's see. Mrs. Funk and Mrs. McKenna are here with us today, so they're gonna wave.
Wave.
So this is Mrs. McKenna's classroom, and Mrs. Funk is there. She's sitting at one of our centers. There's Mrs. McKenna over there. And there's where they have their circle time. We've got some of their artwork. We have melted snowmen and ice cream. We've been focusing on winter for our littlest students. So that's why we did the melted snowmen. And then the ice cream paintings are in our 3-day class where they focused on letter I last week. Here's an example of one of our dramatic play areas, always a big hit. And here is a train table. We put Legos out, we do trains, we do all kinds of things. The toys aren't out right now because they are in the process of being cleaned for over the weekend. But we do change the toys frequently. So that way, there's always something new to play with. Here's an example of their supply kits that we asked them to bring. As you can see, they've got their own markers, crayons, scissors. The shirt in there is a smock that they wear during art to keep those jumpers and white t-shirts relatively clean. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. Each of our classrooms has its own sink and its own restroom that is right through here. We do require our students to be potty trained before they join our program. We're not licensed for pull-ups or diapers, so that is a challenge for some. If you want some more information on that, reach out to me and we can talk about that. These curtains are in the doorway because we do not close the restroom doors. We leave them open so that if the children need help, we can hear them and we can still keep an eye on them, but give them some privacy as well. I'm walking through the hallway here over to Mrs. Funk's classroom. You can see she has another bathroom there. And her classroom is set up very similar to Mrs. McKenna. It's got several areas for centers. An art center, we've got some Play-Doh. She's all set up for tomorrow, looks like. She's got her sink as well. So centers are usually child-directed, meaning that there's a lot of choices for the kids to play with. And then there's always one that's teacher-directed. So as you can see, there's her table there where she would do some small group teacher-directed instruction. This is a really good way for each of our teachers to meet their kids where they're at, because as you know, children all start at different areas of development. So being able to have that teacher-directed center each day is a good way for them to work on different skills. Here's her center area. And then she additionally has a little chill out book area over here where they visit. She's got her barn out. So as you can see, her dramatic play is a little bit different. She has more manipulatives and a barn. And then she's got a writing center over here. We do have another building right across the way, and it mirrors this one, 2 classrooms, 2 restrooms. We are currently housed in the modular units. We are on campus here at St. Brigid, right across from the school, right in front of the basketball hoops. So if you are ever in the area and drive by, you will see our arcs, and we call them our arcs because they kind of look like arcs. And each of our classes this school year has an animal name. So, and then we're back over, and there's Mrs. Funk and Mrs. McKenna. We get really good at sitting in little chairs. So at this point, it looks like there's a couple of people who had some questions. And thank you, Ms. O'Reilly. It looks like you're answering a lot of them. So, but I did get one privately that asked if I could share the open house as a PDF version. I'd be more than happy to send that. We can get that together, and I'm sure our marketing coordinator, Mrs. Wing, can get that sent to everybody who attended today, so you then have a copy of that. And then they also asked if the teachers are Orton Gillingham certified. Our teachers who have been here the longest, Mrs. Funk and Mrs. McKenna, are both certified. Let's see here. There was a question about masks, if they're going to be required in August, and Ms. O'Reilly answered that already, but I'll go ahead and share for those of you who didn't see that response. And we're just really not sure if they're going to be required next school year or not. It really just is something that will make that decision closer to the beginning of the year. Another question was, what's the protocol for the class if a teacher or child tests positive for COVID? Ms. O'Reilly answered that well. She just said that we do work with closely with the Department of Health, determine close contacts, but the rule of thumb is close contacts are somebody who's unmasked less than 6 feet for more than 15 minutes. And because of our protocols, we have not, knock on wood, had to close a pod or quarantine a student or teacher this year. Yeah. We've got questions about Wolfhound Adventures. Wolfhound Adventures is our lunch enrichment program. It was a very successful program. However, due to COVID, we have been, unfortunately, had to postpone it. The reason why is because it mixes the different pods of children together and also brings in outside visitors for those enrichment opportunities. So we're really hopeful that we can continue it at some point, but right now we're just really not sure when we can bring that back. Another question was 9 students per class still for next school year. And to answer your question, we will always have 9 students to 1 teacher. Now, does that mean that we will put 2 pods together again? It really just depends on what the state's ruling is on that. We have decided to stay with the lower ratios, even though they said we could go back to our original ratios, because we feel it's what's safest for children. That's something that we will reevaluate again over the summer. But as of right now, I can tell you that the ratio will be no more than 9 children to 1 adult. The other question we had here was, do we attend mass with the rest of the school? Prior to COVID, we did not attend Mass with the rest of the school, with the exception of Ash Wednesday, we would go. It's kind of tricky for one adult to manage that many little people at church. So like I mentioned when we were talking about our faith-based curriculum, we do take many visits to the church. It's a neat opportunity for the kids to see the church. When Mass isn't going on, they talk about the different parts of the church, different parts of the Mass. Now the big school does still participate in weekly Mass, but it's virtual. That's not something that we typically do here in preschool, attend Mass virtually, just because of their attention span. It would be very hard to keep them engaged for an hour, but we still do lots of other things to make sure that our Catholic faith is being taught to our littlest learners. I got another question. Is there still availability for 3-year-olds for open enrollment? Yes, I will definitely get your application in soon. Our current students will make their selections, their preference selections for the coming year starting next week. And then after that, I go through and offer spots that are open to people who have applied. So yes, there's still availability, but I would definitely get your application in sooner than later, because I've got about 45 applications so far, and that's without our current students re-registering. I do my very best to give everybody a spot. So if you apply and the class that you selected is full, I will go ahead and offer you a spot in one of our classes that's open and put you on a waiting list for your first choice if that happens. I've got a question of, if you're not members of the church, how does that impact enrollment? So you can find all of that information on our website. It states how that process goes. We do give priority to members of our parish first, as well as people who have their children here in our big school, our KA program. And then we take a look at several other factors after that in determining spots. And like I said, all of that information is on the school website under Apply, correct? Is that where it's at? I think.
Yes, that's right.
Okay. Any other questions that you might have? Great question, Joe. It says, are there assessments or status reports of how your child is doing? Yes. So we have parent-teacher conferences twice during the school year. This year they're virtual over Zoom, but our teachers have not exactly a report card, so to speak, but they do have a sheet that talks about all the different standards that I referenced in our presentation and how your child's progressing with those. So you do receive a copy of that, as well as lots of different work samples, and then you get that conference with your child's teacher to just kind of talk about how things are going. And we are also available if issues come up during the school year. We're very accessible via email. We also use an app called Blooms, which is a great way for you to check and see. We post photos of the class and all the different assignments that they've done every week, so you can see what's going on and see all the different activities they're doing. So that's really great. And it is private, so it's only the parents and teachers of that class. So it's not like Facebook where anybody can see it. It's just for that class. It says, if we register for a class, are we able to back out for some reason? Good question. So the answer is yes. If you register and are accept a spot, you can pull out for whatever reason, but you would not receive your application fee or deposit back. The only reason the deposits have been returned over the years is if somebody is not potty trained, because we understand that that's out of your control. However, that's really the only exception. So yes, you can, but you would lose your $100 application fee and $250 deposit. That deposit isn't required until you accept a spot within our program, and it does go towards your tuition. Another question asked if there's special classes for art, gym, music, or language. We have been able to offer those prior to COVID. This year, unfortunately, we have not been able to offer music, gym, or Spanish because of the exposure to other adults and things like that. We haven't been able to do that, as well as the scheduling within the big school because of COVID. There's more classes there, so the music and language teachers are having to cover more there. It's our hope that we will be able to add those specials back in. I'm not exactly sure when, but the hope is that we can. However, our teachers do an awesome job of incorporating art, like I said, every day, music every day, gross motor every day, and we do a little bit of Spanish every now and then. So while we're not able to take them to a special class, we are doing our best to incorporate those things on our own. Any other questions? Is there something that maybe you want, I was going to say, if there's something I didn't show you on showing the classrooms, if there's something that you would want me to go back and show you again. Oh, good question, Patrick. You said, what would be beneficial for kids to know when they're coming into our program? Mrs. Swunk and Mrs. McKenna. Mrs. McKenna said how to be self-sufficient in the bathroom. So that means wiping, pulling up and down pants or shorts, washing hands, having that knowledge before they come in is key. Being able to put on their own coat. We know zipping is hard, but getting their arms in it on their own is always good. It takes us about 10 minutes to get ready to go outside and to go home at the end of the day with all of the coats and the zipping and the hats. We do recommend mittens versus gloves. They're easier to get on and off. And then I would also say sharing, being able to really, we work on that heavily, but starting to share and following directions from somebody who's not their parent, those are big things that we work on. But obviously following directions and sharing if you're working on those things at home, that would be awesome as well. We do our best with the pre-academic stuff, but any incoming knowledge that they have, again, would be beneficial. Any other questions? Oh, great question. Belinda said her daughter will be 4 in August. Will she be placed with other kids that are similar age? The answer to that is to the best of our ability. Our 3-day afternoon class, since it's the only class offered during that time, typically is a mixed age class. But our 3-day and 2-day morning classes and our pre-K classes, we do our very best to make sure they're within peers of their own age. When you register, I take a look at their birthday and determine their chronological age, meaning the years and months they will be as of September 1st. And so I try really hard to put them within about 6 months. A 6-month range in the classes, and that's because children develop so quickly at this age. While 6 months is not a lot of time for an adult to grow, it really is a huge window for children. But I will say that we always have outliers, meaning people who register later or maybe a schedule that class works better for a family schedule. And so our teachers really work hard to tailor instruction for each child. So if they're a little bit younger, a little bit older than some of the other kids in their class, the teachers have experience with that and do a nice job with that kind of multi-age setting if it does occur. Again, if you have questions that pertain to you personally, feel free to reach out to me. Belinda, I see you have a couple of questions there. If you want to send me an email with some of those personal questions, I'll be happy to answer those then. So you will hear back if they've been accepted into our program. I believe it is, I don't have my calendar in front of me. Allie, do you have the date in front of you? I want to say it's the 21st. Is that correct?
The 22nd.
Oh, 22nd. I was close. And you'll hear from us via email with your acceptance. And it'll have a whole bunch of information in there. And then we will send you some stuff in the mail as well. We have a question about switching to our parish. Yes, I would go ahead and switch your parishioner status. It doesn't have to be prior to completing the application, but I would do it pretty within a few days of one another. Wouldn't you say, Ms. O'Reilly? What do you think about that?
Yes. The parish office is open and accepting applications for people to join the parish. We do use length of time in the parish as one of our criteria if we do go to a wait list. But this is a young parish, and people are moving in all the time. So, there are a lot of people that haven't been in the parish for 25 years. So please don't let that be a worry for you. Just go ahead and register, become active in the parish, and attend Mass regularly, and just get involved here. And we'd love to have you join the parish. If you are a member of St. Joan of Arc, they do not have a school. So we do give that consideration that they don't have a school, because if you want to remain a member of St. Joan of Arc, that is absolutely perfectly fine and understandable. So also Marysville does not have a school, and Plain City does not have a school. So if you are in any of those parishes, it's the same thing. We would give you higher priority than someone that is not a member of any parish or a parish that does have its own school. So hope that helps. I've moved, but was a former member of the parish, St. Joan of Arc, prior years. We've never had that situation looking at prior years of consideration, but it is, we certainly would consider all things, when we were looking at that we went to honor people's dedication and being active in the Catholic faith and in their parishes. So I'm not going to say no, but we would, I guess that had to be like a personal, we'd probably have to talk to you and personally look at that one. Yeah. Megan is factored in. St. Peter's Worthington is also given priority because they do not have a school. So,
Jenny asked how difficult it is to get a spot in the 5-day-a-week class. Jenny, it really depends. It's different every year, what the community needs are. And so I would just encourage you to apply. And like I said, I do my very best to get people a spot. And if it's not their first preference, then I do have a waiting list that we use. And I will say that every year we call as many families as we can on that waiting list. So I would just say, go ahead and apply for what your family preference is. And it's different every year. Another question was that, is there a Meet the Teacher event before the school year starts? Yes, there is. This past school year, it was virtual due to COVID, and I cannot speak to how it will go this coming school year, but yes, we do offer a Meet the Teacher for our incoming students, and that way they feel comfortable on that first day. Any more questions? Well, if there aren't any more questions, I just want to take this opportunity to say thank you for spending some of this sunny Sunday afternoon with us here at St. Brigid. I am more than happy to answer any questions that might arise over the next couple of days or weeks. I always tell parents, you know, this is your child's first school opportunity, so no question is a silly question. So please feel free to reach out to me. My email address is on our school website, it's on the application, and I really look forward to hopefully meeting all of you in person at some point. But other than that, I think that's all we really have for you today. If you are going to be joining the next open house for our big school, Ms. O'Reilly, would you like them to stay on, or would you like them to log off and log back in? Or I know some people
stay on. You could just stay on.
All right. And if you want a more personalized tour to talk about your child's specific needs, reach out and I'm happy to set that up as well. So, anything else we want to add?
Are you asking us? We're good.
All right. Well, then I think we'll close with the Our Father then here today. In the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. I hope all of you have a wonderful day. And like I said, feel free to reach out. I look forward to hearing from all of you soon.